Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel ForexPnL, where we focus on making big profits and small losses. Today is the 15th of October 2021. We are now halfway through this particular month, and well, it's time for me to do my weekend Forex forecast for the upcoming week. I currently have about 15 currency, actually I think 14 currency pairs that are showing me some technical levels to keep an eye on. So without any further delays, guys, let's go into the charts. So I'm going to be kicking things off with US dollar Swiss francs as usual. So for this particular week, what do we have? If we zoom in here, you can see that, well, for this particular week's candle, we pretty much had a bullish move earlier in the week to retest last week's high, and then from there the markets flushed to the downside as we anticipated, okay, to dip into this demand zone, and you can see we're slowly beginning to get some rejection off of that daily demand zone, okay. So that's pretty much the story from the weekly charts. It's a bearish week, so let's go in and see what's going on the daily charts. Now on the daily charts, guys, if you remember last week I told you guys that well, we are slowly but surely beginning to build liquidity below these levels right here, okay. And I told you guys that well, I would love to see price give me a dip into this particular demand zone that we have right here on the daily chart, right around institutional price level of 0.9200. all right, and you can see, well, when price got to that 0.9200, you can see the rejection we got off of that level to form this pin bar. But then you can see, well, the next follow through candle, we got rejection also from the upside, and we also closed today's candle a pin bar. So, well, this is the definition of indecision, okay. You have a pin bar, bullish pin bar, expecting the market to go up, and then you're following it up with a bearish pin bar. Combine these two candles together, you have a perfect spinning top, okay. So that's pretty much indecision at the moment. So the market has to make a decision as to where it wants to go, okay. But you can see clearly that well, this demand zone in this area is being respected, at least at the moment, okay. So now going into the 4 hours time frame, what do we have? Well, in order to get to that demand zone, price actually gave us a break of these levels of structure that you can see on the chart. You can see these areas right here. All this level of structure was taken away by this bearish move that we have here, all right. And in that process, this supply zone was created in the 4 hours time frame. So actually, I was actually keeping an eye on this one for earlier today to see if this push was going to get to this supply zone. Well, price fell shy from that supply zone, as you can see, but my expectation is that well, from here, maybe I'm seeing a situation whereby the markets might give us a push to the upside into this supply zone, maybe towards 0.9275 level, and then from there we might get a reversal. And if we do any reversals from that level, I'll be looking for an opportunity to go short for price to give me another push into this demand zone, maybe to manipulate or take off the early buyers that we have in this particular level, all right. So this will be the move I would love to see, and then maybe after this I might expect the boost to come in. That is if this demand zone is going to hold, this daily demand zone is going to hold, all right. Now in the event that the market just continues to shoot to the upside from here, let's say this our first supply zone is not respected, and the market begins to trade to the upside, clearly breaking through this supply zone, taking off these levels of structure that we have to the left. Once price begins to take off, let's say 0.9312 area, this area that we have here, then I'll be waiting for price to give me pullbacks in the smaller time frames to fill up demand zones that we have on the smaller time frames for further continuations to the upside towards this quickly selling origin that we have in this area, all right. So that's going to be my game plan or my course of action as we go into next week. Let's see how it goes, okay. So going into the next currency pair, British pounds and US dollar. So now in British pounds US dollar, looking into the weekly time frame, what do we have? Well, price is actually trading between a weekly demand zone and a weekly supply zone. As you can see here, we formed this weekly supply zone I think about 2 weeks ago, and now our price actually dipped into a demand zone in that process, and right now we are getting the bounce off of the demand zone, and the process now price is inside the weekly supply zone. So it's pretty much like a range in this at this particular moment. Price will have to give us a break of either the weekly supply zone to the upside or a break of the weekly demand zone to the downside for us to have a clear bias. But at this particular moment, in the weekly time frame, you can see that price is between a weekly supply zone and a weekly demand zone, okay. The good news is we have some space in between those two weekly zones that we can trade from. So let's see what's going on in the smaller time frames. Okay, so right now, looking into the daily charts, what do we have? If you guys remember, I was keeping an eye on this particular supply zone that we had on the daily charts. Okay, well, you can see price did give us a dip in there, acted as if we're about to take off to the downside, and then from there you can see that price gave us another push to the upside, clearly taking off this this daily supply zone that we have in this area. Okay, so in my opinion, it's as if the bulls are more in these markets. So well, let's see how it goes. I'm keeping an eye on a 4 hours demand zone that is in this area. If next week we get a push to the downside and we start bouncing off of this 4 hours demand zone, I'll be looking for an opportunity to go long in this particular currency pair. All right, so looking into the 4 hours time frame, what do we have? You can see clearly that, well, slowly but surely the market is now beginning to turn around. Okay, we were forming lower highs and lower lows in this part of the chart, but then slowly you can see with this push to this upside here, we took off this particular supply zone, and since then, what do we have? Market has been respecting demand zones that formed on the chart. You can see the respect of this particular demand zone here at this particular level. Okay, and then we had some resistance, and then bang, we had another push to the upside, and you can see this demand zone is being respected, at least in the smaller time frame at the moment. All right, so well, let's see how it goes. What I would love to see next week is for price to give me a push to the downside, all right, into this particular demand zone that we have here. All right, if price gives me a push to the downside into this demand zone, any reversals that we get from this particular demand zone to the upside, I'll be looking for an opportunity to go long for further continuations to the upside. All right, that's pretty much my preferred move as we go into next week. I would like to see the bulls come into British pounds US dollar for further pushes to the upside. Okay, let's see how it goes. All right, and again, if price opens and none of these levels get respected, it is what it is. I just reanalyze the charts and try to identify the newly formed demand and supply zones on our charts. Okay, all right, so that's pretty much it for British pounds and US dollar. Next up is going to be Euro US dollar. Okay, all right, so what do we have on Euro US dollar? If I go into the weekly time frame, what do we see here? Well, for the past 2 weeks, the market has pretty much been ranging. You can see the past 2 weeks of price action has pretty much been, just two spinning tops. Okay, in my opinion. Okay, this is not, the market has not been going anywhere. So the market is pretty much making a decision. That's whenever you see this kind of candle pattern formation, that means that the market is making a decision as to what to do. Are we going to get another push to the upside, or are we going to get a further push to the downside? All right, that's the decision that the market needs to make. And well, we are not the ones to make that decision. We just have to wait and follow the price action as it develops on our charts. Okay, but one thing is for sure, we do have a weekly demand zone right here that was formed as a result of this break of structure. Remember that right here we have this significant price level of 1.1500, which, well, is a retest of this particular resistance level, and also it's the 50% Fibonacci of this monthly move that we have here, and also obviously a key institutional price level. So I'm not surprised that we are getting price to take a halt right around this 1.1500 area. Okay, so well, let's see how it goes. My preferred move obviously is to see price continue to maybe give us another push to the downside. Obviously we are slowly but surely trickling to the downside. So what I would love to see here is for supply zones to be respected. Okay, maybe most likely this supply zone that we have on the daily charts, I would like to see price give me a push into that demand zone, and then from there maybe another attack to the downside into this maybe 1.1500, and subsequently this weekly demand zone that we have here. Okay, then maybe from here we might get a bounce, but maybe this might not happen next week. But again, that's the kind of price action that I would love to see in this currency pair, or what I can see from the weekly time frame. All right, now going into the daily charts, what do we have? As you can see here, guys, like I said, you can see it's pretty much been a range. The market has not been going anywhere. But interestingly, you can see that the past 2 days we are pin bars. Okay, so Thursdays and Fridays price action, we are pin bars. Okay, so, and those are bearish pin bars. So it is not going to be surprising for the bears to come into the market and just continue to push price to the downside from here. Well, if that happens, again, I'm going to be reanalyzing to see how, the supply zones that form on the smaller time frames. But my preferred move will be maybe for price to give me a push into this our one demand zone that I have here. I'm also going to show that, and then from there a nice push to the upside into this daily supply zone is going to be my preferred move. And then anywhere from right around that 1700, if I get any reversals to the downside, I'll be looking for an opportunity to go short for further continuations to the downside. That is going to be my preferred course of action for next week in euro dollar. All right, so you can see in the 4 hours time frame, we are almost looking like we have more like an inverted head and shoulder formation. Okay, and then we have this hourly demand zone. Let me go ahead and show the hourly demand zone that I'm talking about. Okay, so yeah, if we read price action in this particular time frame, okay, you notice that, well, the bears gave us a very nice push to the downside here, and then we got a very nice push to the upside. Price dipped into this supply zone in the hourly time frame, and you can see how from there the market gave us another push to the downside, making new lows. Okay, but then from right around here, you can see that, well, in this particular area right here, the markets took a breather, and from here we got a nice push to the upside that actually gave us a break of this level of structure to the upside, taking off this previous lower high. All right, and from the kind of price action that we have in this particular area here, what I would love to see is for price to give me a nice push to the downside, grabbing liquidity below this almost equal lows that we have here. All right, and then give me a dip into this demand zone, maybe right around 1.1575 area. Any reversals from here to the outside, guys, I would like to see price give me a nice push into that daily supply zone that we had mapped out on the daily charts. Okay, then from that particular supply zone, anything can happen. Maybe from here, any reversals to the downside, I'll be looking for an opportunity to go short for further continuations to the downside. All right, that's going to be my preferred game plan as we go into next week for euro US dollar. All right, now next up is going to be US dollar Canadian dollar. Again, this currency pair is moving as anticipated. You will see that the weekly time frame, you can see we actually had another push to the downside. It's as if like the bulls are scared of even coming into this particular currency pair as we speak. We have not really gotten that pullback that I was anticipating. But, well, again, I don't control the movement of price. I can only wait for price to get to my levels from where I will make a decision to take a trade. Okay, but from the weekly time frame, you can see that this week actually followed through with another bearish week, and let's see how it goes. What I would love to see next week is for price to give me a pullback, okay, to the upside. It's been a consistent move to the downside. In my own opinion, what I would love to see right now on the daily chart is for price to give me some kind of push to the upside, maybe a retest of this our 4 supply zone, another push to the downside before we get another push to the upside into this daily supply zone that we have in this area. Then from here, in my own opinion, this is the optimal level for shorts. In my own opinion, anywhere from right around, let's say 125.75 and 12600, in my own opinion, anywhere from right around here, if I get a reversal to the downside, I'll be looking for an opportunity to go short for further continuations to the downside, at least to retest the weekly lows, okay, these lows that we have in this area. And you can see that's going to be pretty much a very nice trade, almost a retest of 1.20. All right, so, well, that's almost going to be a 600 pip move if we do get that retest and we begin to see that reversal. Okay, so that's going to be one of the trades I would like to see next week. So let's see how it goes, guys. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Hopefully from here we are going to get that pushback into this daily supply zone that I have mapped out, and then from here, any reversals, I'll be looking for an opportunity to go short for further continuations to the downside. Now, if we go into the 4 hours time frame, well, again, the market has just been, plummeting to the downside. As you can see here, the bears came into this market, and since then it's been a push to the downside, sideways consolidation, push to the downside, sideways consolidation, push to the downside. All right, so what I would love to see is for price to give me some push into this or some retracement into this 4 hours supply zone that we have here. Okay, this supply zone that led to the break of this level of structure that I've mapped out here. I would like to see price give me a retest of that level. Well, if we do and we get any reversals from here, I'll be looking for an opportunity to go short for further continuations to the downside, at least for a possible retest of this previous swing low that we have in the 4 hours time frame. Remember, guys, the optimal level I have is at right around, let's say, 12600, 125.90 neighborhood. All right, from here, I would love to see the bears come into this market and continue pushing price again to the downside. All right, that's pretty much the game plan that I have for this particular currency pair as we go into next week. All right, that's it. Next up is going to be US dollar Japanese yen. Well, the yen crosses, in my own opinion, were the best performers for the week. As you can see here, well, it's been pretty much all bullish move. Okay, very steep move. I was able to catch some moves in the yen crosses this week as anticipated. Okay, so without getting ahead of myself, let me go ahead and zoom into the weekly time frame and start my analysis. Obviously, we do have this weekly demand zone in this area as a result of this break of structure. You can see this week's candle actually followed through with another nice bullish move. All right, so well, the bulls are in these markets. That's not a question anymore. All right, so not much to say from the weekly time frame right now. Obviously, I would like to see some form of pullback to fill up the demand zones that we have on the smaller time frames. Okay, so now going into the daily chart, obviously we have this demand zone that I had mapped out here that was obviously formed as a result of this break of structure right here. So this demand zone is actually valid, maybe around 111.50 institutional price level. Should we get any pullbacks towards 111.50 institutional price level, any bounce from here, guys, I'll be looking for an opportunity to go long for further continuations to the upside. All right, now that's actually going to be a big ask for this particular currency pair based on the form of bullish movements that we've been seeing. But again, it's the level that I'm keeping an eye on. Should the markets give me that retracement, I'll be keeping an eye on that particular level for further continuations to the upside. Okay, now in the 4 hours time frame, guys, we also have this particular demand zone that I'm keeping an eye on. All right, well, you can see obviously we had a break of this particular resistance area that we had around 113.75, 113.80 area to the upside. So well, should we get any form of pullbacks into that particular demand zone, maybe towards 113.50, any bounces to the upside, any reversals that I get from here, I'll be looking for an opportunity to ride this thing back to the upside for further continuations to the upside. All right, now we also have a level on the hourly time frame. Okay, I'm also keeping an eye on that particular one. You can see this particular demand zone as well. As a matter of fact, if you pay attention, you notice that after this break to the upside, you notice that in this particular bearish candle, price gave us a dip into that demand zone and actually got price to give us another push to the upside. So obviously there are buy orders sitting in this neighborhood right around that 114 institutional price level, because as you can see here, we got this nice push again to the downside to retest 11400 institutional price level, and you can see from there the bulls came back into this market again. But again, if you pay attention to price action, you would notice that, well, upon this push to the upside, this push that we had to the upside, notice how price is now slowly stalling around this selling origin that we have in this area. Notice how price is now looking as if we are about to get another push to the downside, maybe another push into this particular demand zone, all right, to retest 11400 area, 113.90 area. If we get any reversals from here in the hourly time frame next week, maybe by Monday London session, well, I'll be looking for an opportunity to go long for further continuations to the upside. So I'll be keeping an eye on this particular currency pair as I have a lot of levels to keep an eye on. All right, the hourly demand zone, the 4-hour demand zone, and also the daily demand zone that we have. All right, so that's pretty much my game plan for US dollar Japanese yen going into next week. Next up is euro yen. All right, so the story is pretty similar for the yen crosses. It's been a very bullish week for the yen crosses, as you can see here. Just take a look at that bullish candle. Okay, very nice bullish candle. But again, to cut the chase, let's go into the 4 hours time frame. This market has pretty much been trending very steeply. All right, you can see the very steep trend that we have here. Well, we have this demand zone that I'm going to be keeping an eye on. All right, as usual, guys, all I want to see here right now is for price to give me a dip into this demand zone, anywhere right around, let's say 131.75, 131.50 area, anywhere from right around here. Any reversals to the upside, I'll be looking for an opportunity to go long for further continuations to the upside. That's pretty much my game plan for euro yen going into next week. All right, next up is British pounds Japanese yen. Again, another yen cross. You can see, well, for this particular currency pair, the bulls actually came into the market. We broke this level of structure, and in the process, you can see we have now formed a new weekly demand zone that I have mapped out in this particular area. So the bulls are in this market, guys. Again, I'm keeping an eye on this 4-hour supply zone. Oops, I must have made a mistake in my labeling here. All right, let me correct that. All right. So as you can see here, well, I have this particular demand zone that I have mapped out on the 4 hours time frame. Again, all I would love to see right now is for price to give me some form of retracement into that particular demand zone that we have in this area. Maybe a possible retest of 155.50 institutional price level, anywhere from right around here. If I begin to get a reversal to the upside, I'll be looking for an opportunity to go long for further continuations to the upside. Maybe if we get an overshoot of this particular level, guys, let's say price from here gives me an overshoot of 155.50, this particular demand zone, and we dip into this particular demand zone in this area, let's say 154.50 area, anywhere from right around here as well. If I get a reversal to the upside, I'll be looking for an opportunity to go long for further continuations to the upside. All right, so that's pretty much my game plan for British pounds, Japanese yen, CAD yen. Guys, this market has been performing as I had anticipated from almost, I think, 2 or 3 weeks ago, guys. I told you guys I would love to see this pair, that I believe this pair is going to 100. And that was when we were right around, I think, 85 or 86, okay? So hopefully you are benefiting from these calls, guys. All right, without any delays, guys, well, we have a new weekly demand zone that was formed as a result of this break of structure. You can see how we have now pushed through this particular level right here, and in that process we've created this demand zone. So this is going to be a zone to keep an eye on in the future weeks, okay? Should price give us a retest of that particular level, okay? But that's still far from now, in my own opinion. Let's see how that goes. Now, going into the daily charts, and what do we have? We have this particular level right here that was formed as a result of this break of structure that we have in this area. So, well, should price give us a retracement into that particular demand zone that we have on the daily chart, in my own opinion, that's going to be a high quality area to start searching to add, maybe to add towards your long positions, or to actually take long positions upon reversals to the upside. All right, now if we go into the 4 hours time frame, I also have a level right here that I'm keeping an eye on, right around 9100 institutional price level. So let's say from here, if we do get that pullback into this demand zone that we have here, right around 9100 institutional price level, any reversals from here, guys, I'll be looking for an opportunity to go long for further continuations to the upside. Now that's the level I'm going to be keeping an eye on as we go into next week. All right, next currency pair, Swiss francs, Japanese yen. All right, now if we look into Swiss francs, Japanese yen, again, just like the other yen crosses, we have a weekly demand zone here as a result of this break of structure. If we go into the daily charts, guys, not much in the daily charts. Obviously, we have this area right here, but I'm more interested in what I have in the 4 hours time frame, because in the 4 hours time frame, it's pretty much clear. We have an institutional price level of I think 122.50 right here inside this our 4 demand zone that we have, and you can see that demand zone is yet to be tested. So in my own opinion, I would love to see price give me a push into 122.50 institutional price level into this demand zone, anywhere from right around here. Any reversals that I get to the upside, I'll be looking for an opportunity to go long for further continuations to the upside. Now, I think we have another yen cross, New Zealand, Japanese yen. Okay, the story is the same, guys. I'm not going to bore you with the yen crosses. Another weekly demand zone, and if you zoom into the 4 hours time frame, I'm also going to be keeping an eye on this particular demand zone that we have on the 4 hours time frame, right around 1800 institutional price level. Okay, so if from right around here we get any form of reversals to the downside into that, let's say 1800 institutional price level area, into this demand zone, anywhere from right around here, any reversals that I get to the upside, I'll be looking for an opportunity to go long for further continuations to the upside. Okay, all right, so that's it for New Zealand, Japanese yen. And then the last but not the least for the yen crosses is going to be Australian dollar, Japanese yen. And in this particular one, I just have this 4 hours area that I have here, this demand zone in the 4 hours time frame that led to the break of this level of structure. I'm going to be keeping an eye on that. If next week we do get price to give us a pullback into this particular area in this 4 hours demand zone, right around, let's say 83.50 area, institutional price level, well, if any reversals from there, I'll be looking for an opportunity to go long for further continuations to the upside. Now, with all this being said for all of these yen crosses, well, the markets can easily open, for example, and from here, the markets might continue just to shoot to the upside from here. Well, I cannot control that. All I can do is, well, to start identifying again the new demand zones that form on my charts and wait for price to give me a pullback into those demand zones. I'll now pay attention to see if we get any reversals from that area. That's how I trade, guys. Remember, this is just a forecast. You still have to do your analysis and, wait for the markets to give you a clear directional shift before you take any particular trade. All right, at least that's how I approach the market. Okay, so that's pretty much it for Australian dollar, Japanese yen. Next up is going to be British pounds and Swiss francs. Okay, now I have this particular pair back again. If you guys remember, I kept this pair in my radar, but now I think it's ripe again to bring it out. You can see how price actually gave us some form of consolidation. Okay, this market gave us some consolidation, but then we slowly got a very nice push to the upside, breaking this level of resistance that we have in this area. And in that process, this particular demand zone was formed. All right, so well, my game plan is very simple, guys. What I would love to see next week is for price to give me a dip into this particular demand zone that we have now in the 4 hours time frame. All right, anywhere from right around here. If we get any reversals to the upside, I'll be looking for an opportunity to go long for further continuations to the upside. That's pretty much my game plan. And I think in that particular area as well, I think we do have some trend line. Okay, let me draw it and let's see. Okay, so this might be used as a guide. Okay, so you can use this particular trend line as a guide for this particular currency pair. Okay, so let's see how it goes, but this is going to be a very nice level that I'm going to be keeping an eye on next week in this particular currency pair. All right, so that's pretty much it for British pounds, Swiss francs. All right, now next up is going to be British pounds, Australian dollar. Okay, now in this particular currency pair, guys, if you guys remember, I said that this particular currency pair needs to give me another retest, okay, of the weekly demand zone. Okay, I told you guys that from the price action that I'm now seeing, I would love to see the bears come into these markets and push price to the downside to manipulate below this particular low that we have here, to take away these early buyers, okay, to grab liquidity below this level that we have here, deep into this weekly demand zone. So that has happened right now. Well, we are not yet getting the confirmation. We are just getting a little bounce from that particular level, but I just wanted to call this to your attention. That being said, I'm also keeping an eye on this particular level in the 4 hours time frame. Okay, you can see this, our first supply zone that we had. So price gave us a very nice push to the downside, and then from here went into some form of sideways consolidation, and then finally we got a nice push to the downside that led to the break of this level of structure, and this supply zone was formed in the 4 hours time frame. Okay, so my game plan again is very simple. I would love to see price give me a dip into this area. Okay, now remember, we are coming off from a weekly demand zone, so this is where you must definitely wait for a confirmation, okay, because price can easily from here begin to shoot to the upside, taking off this our first supply zone. All right, so if that happens, anytime price gives us a break of this 4 hour supply zone, if that is the case, just wait for price to give you a pullback to fill up demand zones on the smaller time frames for further continuations to the upside. Okay, that would mean that this weekly demand zone is now pushing price to the upside. Okay, the market is now respecting this weekly demand zone. All right, now if that's not the case, and let's say price gets back to this our first supply zone, and then from here any reversals to the downside, guys, I'll be looking for an opportunity to go short for another push, maybe to retest this previous swing low that we have in this area. But understand that, well, we are now bouncing off of a weekly demand zone, and we also have this 4 hour zone to keep an eye on. Okay, so this is something to keep an eye on as we go into next week, and I have just explained to you my game plan in this particular currency pair. All right, now next up is going to be Euro New Zealand, and that's going to be the last currency pair, but obviously not the least currency pair. Now let's take a look at the weekly time frame. Almost perfect right here. You can see we had nice pin bar rejection, spinning top, and now the bears have come into this market. We actually have a supply zone in here right now. I just have not mapped it out, but you can see that we clearly have a break of structure in this area. So this is obviously a supply zone. All right, but well, let's go into the daily charts and see what we have. Now in the daily charts, I have this particular supply zone that I'm keeping an eye on. All right, you can see this is a supply zone that was formed as a result of this break of structure in this area. Okay, so well, if we do get any form of pullback into this particular supply zone next week, all right, any reversals from here, I'll be looking for an opportunity to go short for further continuations to the downside. All right, that's pretty much the game plan from the daily time frame. And in the 4 hours time frame, guys, well, we have this our 4 supply zone that I'm keeping an eye on. Okay, well, if price gives me a retracement into this particular 4-hour supply zone, let's say towards 16500 institutional price level, anywhere from right around there, if I get a reversal to the downside, I'll be looking for an opportunity to go short for further continuations to the downside. Alright guys, that's pretty much my analysis for the currency pairs that are showing me some structural levels to keep an eye on. Hopefully you gained some value from this particular video, and guys, if you did, please do not forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Click on that notification bell to ensure that you will always get notified whenever I post a video. And guys, I'm very grateful. This channel is really growing. We are pretty much at 2,000 subscribers right now, so thank you. I really appreciate the efforts that you guys are putting in subscribing to this channel and in watching these videos. All right, thanks, and enjoy the rest of your weekend and have a profitable week ahead. Cheers and bye bye.